A lot of people listening may be former athletes who decided they want to step into business, right? It could be moms who were put in a situation they didn't like and they're going to step into business. What I'm getting at is more often than not, whether it was discovered or what have you, people trend towards business. It seems to be the unlock for many people in their lives to get them to places they simply couldn't get to before, where they tried one way, they got somewhere, as you said, the mountain, only to find the air was thin, only to find that it was a great view, but it wasn't what they wanted. It didn't get them
Yeah.
exactly what they needed. And for some reason, people turned to business. In your experience, what have you found to be possibly a cause for this trend towards, well, let me start a business. Let me go into business.
It's heavy influence from media. So if you go back and look at the history of what media highlighted as the dream, if you go back, it was to be a ball player and a famous actress, Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio. I mean, there's no better life than that. Look at their life. They're movie stars. They're famous. They're special. There's glitz. There's glamour. There's this incredible like life facade that goes with it. If you've ever had the awesome chance of going through Hollywood when there's some event going on, it's a smoke and mirrors is the wrong word, but it's pretty close. Because you stand across the street and there's like a homeless encampment going on, but you walk across the street and look which way the camera's pointed, and it looks like this magical place. It's how they make movies. You focus very specifically on this little tiny frame and make it look so incredible. But if you zoomed out, it's not that special. If you've ever been on set in any of these major studios. And so if you go back in history, it was to be a ball player and a movie star. At some point, just to catch us up, I'll do a big leap, be a baller, a shot caller. There are certain songs where they were pushing like, to be a baller, to play basketball, football, to be an athlete. Like that was the dream, man. If you could be an athlete, change your life. Not just your life, but you could buy your mom a house and you could have the cars and the glitz and the glamour and all the stuff. And then if you fast forward, there was this big push on entrepreneurship. Oh man. I mean, look at the TV shows, look at who they're highlighting in the news, look at the stories they're telling. I mean, you could build a company and be rich. But hold on, I skipped it one that's fun. In the 80s, you could drive a red Ferrari and work on Wall Street. Now you've really made it. Like the suspenders, boom. You were living the life, like Wolf of Wall Street. You've made it. If you have a Ferrari and Wall Street with suspenders on your suit, boom. Fast forward, Zuckerberg, launch an app. You can become a billionaire if you launch an app that gets picked up overnight, and you have 11 employees. You're not even profitable. Boom, billionaire. The newest one, if you can just argue with your sisters. Shit, you don't even have to invent anything. I mean, if you got a mom who's your manager and you can argue with your sisters, self-made billionaire.
It took me a second. Yeah.
We found out it wasn't true, but God, they sure made it into the media very well. And so if you keep moving forward, then it was a TikToker. Oh man, if you can, what is it? I don't know how to do it. If you can do the dance, boom. You can get the attention of the whole world. So look at how they've pushed us. And if you look generationally, if you go ask young people now, what do you want to do when you grow up? Many of them won't say start a business. They'll say, I want to be an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what the fuck is that? Excuse my language. Influence what? Who? I just want to be an influencer. Like I get a jet like Kylie. I could start my own makeup company. I could ball out. I get all these cars. Have the life. You're like, wow. So the generation next, or Z or whatever it is, they've been sold on the dream of influencerness. Come back to our generation. We were sold on the dream of entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. Go back a generation. They were sold on Wall Street. And so how does that happen that a generation all leans into a similar concept, believing that's the key that unlocks the piece? The sad part is if you pull it apart, The platforms purposefully picked people and they boosted those people. They built those platforms and they picked them because others would look at them and say, if they could do it, maybe I could do it, which means they're all going to show up and try every day, not realizing that they were picked, they were platformed, the platform itself promoted and funded them, the platform built them. But it built them and showcased them in a way that caused everyone else to stare from the outside and go, ooh, maybe I could do that, which causes a whole wave of humans to try.
There's something scary about the possibility and the realization that there's the possibility that everything we've done has been pre-programmed through a source or some kind of influence that we didn't know was present in our lives every day that continues to shape our behavior to this very day. And
Well,
go
go
ahead.
backwards on that for a second. The majority of humans, not all of them, but the majority of humans, within 5 minutes of being born, you're told what tribe you belong to, religion you're supposed to have, what's possible in your life, what you're supposed to do and not do, how you're supposed to behave. So for most human beings, within 5 minutes of being born, that invisible force is called your tribe, community, family, doctor, hospital, wherever you were at. They all decide those things for you. And so I always ask people, at what stage of your adult life did you pull out a pen and paper, write down all of those choices that were made when you were 5 minutes old, look at and analyze, actually learn, study, and analyze the other options, and then make a conscious choice if that's still the option you choose to do?
Yeah,
Very few humans do that.
I would call that stepping outside of the Truman Show,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Get out of the damn
So-
Truman Show.
But here's the thing. I haven't experienced this, and I don't know how religious or faith-based the audience or show is. My grandpa was Catholic, and he had a near-death experience. My mom brought him over to the Christian church through a friend of hers that went to Bible study, and she wanted to go. So I grew up with a grandpa who's an evangelist, and he's very passionate about sharing that. So he, from my very beginning, took me to Sunday school, took me to church, read me the Bible, had me learning from the beginning. When I got to college, one of the coolest things in the world happened. It was a Catholic university that required a class for everyone to graduate called World Religions. We had to take this class. It was mandatory. We had to sit in on 5 different religious services of 5 different religions. We had to study all the main tenets of 5 other of the 9 other religions. It was taught by a Buddhist monk at a Catholic university, which is interesting in itself. But I got to sit down and study all the options, or at least the big options that are out there, and then make a conscious choice as an adult. Is this still what I believe to be true? Is this still what I want to practice and how I want to go about my life with it? And then I thought about that and I was like, well, what other things were decided for me at such a young age? Luckily, I have 2 parents who were studying coaching tools and strategies since I was in my mom's belly. So I got lucky. My mom believed in choice. She wanted to make sure I always had a chance to choose once I was old enough to make a choice. And that thought of, I wonder if we could bring our adult children to the table. My wife and I were just talking. We have a 3.5-year-old son, and we were like, should we start teaching him about the things we believe in? And I said, I don't know if he's old enough at 3.5 to have a choice yet. He's kind of just going to get stuck with whatever we tell him. And I said, why don't we create a plan together where we start to, based on his comprehension level, based on his level of understanding and discernment and be able to make decisions, we can align certain topics throughout his life where we'll study it with him and we'll show him lots of options and we'll help him compare and contrast what's available. And that way he gets the ability to make a conscious choice at that stage of his life when he is fully able to comprehend and decide and decipher. I don't know if we're right. We'll find out. But
There's
That's
a
part of life.
instead of just telling him what it is,
Right.
why don't we invite him to actually learn about the different options and make a decision for himself?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually did that with our daughter. Our daughter's
work?
4. Absolutely.
Okay, good.
And yeah, no, it sucked.
Oh, crap. Theory's off. I need to go back and come up with a new one.
But we, like you know, in the I grew up religious, going to church, all those things, right? And we made the conscious decision with her that we got her blessed by a army chaplain, but we didn't have her baptized because we wanted her to be able to make that choice later in life, right? So I mean, I relate to what you're talking about because it's like that's how we're parenting our children now. Is let's not institutionalize them right off the bat, right? Goes back right to what we were talking about 10 minutes ago with how we were raised. So, you know, it's
And I don't know. That to go back to how did we come to that conclusion? I don't know what large societal influence made us all believe that we need more choices in our life. Most likely, raised without many choices causes people to value choices.
right, right, for sure.
But that thought of, that seems, my mom helped share that concept of having a choice with me, and she grew up in a generation where you didn't have a choice. Why do you do it? Because I said so, and there's a consequence if you don't act quick. Like, there's no choice there. It's someone says something and you better move quickly. Otherwise there's a consequence of some sort coming. And so she was like, no, I don't want my kid to have to feel that. That was not a great feeling in life. Why don't we, she presented me with the concept of having a choice. And so that bred into my upbringing. And now, like, your daughter, my son, hopefully will get his ability to have a choice on some of the major topics in life.